All right, lads, it's Q&A time. Well, A time. I can't make the mount for the phone hang on to the thing I wanted it to hang on to, so it's gonna be a bit like this Dogma movie. So I'll try and be quick because we have quite a few questions, 58 of them, which is quite a lot. So we'll get started. Scott Al wants to know, how do you say in Swedish, can you please call the hall porter? There appears to be a frog in my bidet. So that in Swedish that would be something like, Vaktmästaren, kan du komma, det är en groda i bidén. That's in Gothenburgish. Scott also wants to know my favorite Sheffield. Well, it's you, Scott, and Ace Back. So there you go. Speaking of Ace Back, he's asked a bunch of questions. What made you want to make YouTube videos? Well, I was straight razor shaving and I got my Parkinson's diagnosis, and as a joke I thought, I'll do a video straight razor shaving with Parkinson's disease because that's funny because of shaking. So that's how it started, and then I kind of liked it and just deteriorated from there on, and I do apologize. Acebeck also is asking, why the jokes? Well, I started telling a joke, a good one. I tried to make an effort, and that went down well, so I sort of continued, and then the quality is extraordinarily poor, and I just have to continue that way, I guess. So that's why. My favorite food, if I'm honest, probably a really well done hamburger. Sorry, guys. Some of the questions come up a few times, and I will probably give different answers to the same question, if you don't mind. Favorite razor and brush. That's one that does come back. It varies so much right now. The Philharmonica razor and the Frank and Matti brush with a pig knot. Hobbies. Do I have any hobbies? Other hobbies? No. Best soap I've ever used. Yeah, it's really funny. That varies a lot too. So I'm gonna say Dapper Mallard by Grooming Department. Ace Back still. What advice would you give people who want to try straight razors? Well, do it. Get a sharp one. Get it sharpened by someone who knows how to hone. Don't try and do it yourself in the beginning. And just get cracking. And finally from Aceback, what are your fondest memories of living in England? Well, going home. No, I'm joking. Actually, probably I had two good mates, so I like them. And then I like the beer a lot, but then probably the food. I ate well. Really good curry in Bradfield. I lived outside Leeds. Fish and chips. I like fish and chips. And in the beginning, I stayed at a sort of stayed at a house with a lady. Bed and breakfast is what you call it. So there was an old lady, and she'd cook on Sundays because I wouldn't go home a lot. And then steak and kidney pie, steak, Yorkshire puddings, gravy, that sort of thing. Brilliant. Really good food. Ken Williams wants to know also, do I have other hobbies? Do I play or have I played sports? I played a lot of sports when I was young. When I was old, I played golf, but I gave it up, partially because it bored me. I've given up a few times. I started playing when I was 4 or 5, so a long time ago, when very few people play golf in Sweden. So I did that until about a year ago, and then I gave up. And my game is really poor. I think it is probably my disease, but I got bored. I may get back at it. You never know. Ralph, is it Ralph? I wrote Ralph Shaves. If it's Ralph, I'm sorry. Ralph. Yeah, Ralph Shaves. Is Parkinson's and Alzheimer's related? I have no clue, but Federico Balacci already gave the answer in the comments. So thank you, Federico, for that. That was interesting reading. They're both shit, apparently. So they're related in that way. Raf also wants to know, can we have a tour of your shave den? And yes, you can have a quick one. Yeah, not much of a shave den, but this is where I keep the stuff. Bit of soaps, bit of stuff, more soap, and then I have some stuff at my summer house as well. A straw. This is where the stropping action happens. Some brushes, the bruges. The leaf, and some shaving literature. I don't know why it's here. Then this is where I keep my straight razors. This is pretty good because it's not airtight, but it's wasting his life. This it keeps them pretty dry, so pretty neat. These are, I've got a bunch of additional ones that I don't use. Some are in their original packaging as well. So yeah, that's about it. There you go. Flash Boredom. Hey Flash, he's asking, how are you? This is the God's honest truth, and you can check it out if you didn't take it off. How are you so good, goddamn good looking? Genetics or healthy lifestyle? Well, I do drink quite a bit and I don't exercise, so if anything, it's genetics. And thank you, darling. Flash also wants to know, how many countries have I visited? And I did count them, and it's 50. I thought it was more, so maybe I'm forgetting a few. Like, have I been to Liechtenstein? I don't know, I probably drove through it. I didn't count it though, so about 50. Finally, Flash, one soap, one brush, one razor for the rest of your life. Mitchell's Wool Fat, my Paladin brush, and a razor, my Ralph Faust. Okay. Lee Hazley. Hello, Lee, in Thailand. Why do only Scandinavians and I like salted licorice? I don't like salted licorice. I don't think I've met anyone who does. Well, my wife does actually. And people in Finland like licorice. That's not technically Scandinavia though. It's the Nordic countries. So, sorry. Lee wants to know, what's your pet hate and what pets do you hate? My pet hate is probably people who can't do grammar properly. It's, Jesus, make an effort. And if you're really bad at it, then I don't hate it. I find it annoying though. Pets I hate. Snakes. I like spiders. I wouldn't mind having spiders as pets, but no one else here likes them. Lee wants to know, how old were you and what led to your initial diagnosis with Parkinson's? I was 45, so it was 2.5 years ago. Yeah, I think so. 3 years ago, maybe. And what led to that? Well, I had problems stropping my straight razor. So I went to the doctor and eventually ended up at a neurologist who took one good look at me and said, yeah, it's Parkinson's disease. And there you go. So that's one more good thing with wet shaving. Huh? Do Swedes dislike Norwegians as much as Norwegians dislike Swedes? Someone commented there as well. We don't dislike each other, Lee, really. Norwegians, if you generalize, can find Swedes a bit arrogant, you know, as a big brother. So we're a bigger country. Swedes are envious of Norwegians for their, you know, they have a lot of money, they have a great lifestyle, and we sort of, you know, and we're a bit the banana republic people of Scandinavia. We do the cheap jobs no one wants to do, both in Denmark and in Norway. So we're the like the Palestinians of Scandinavia. Can you say that? Yeah, you know what I mean. Last question from Lee. 3 favorite words in Swedish, English, German. That's really hard. I wrote down a few. In Swedish, självklart, which is obviously. Lagom, which means not too much, not too little. It's a great expression. And mos, which is mash, like in mashed potatoes. In English, so many words I like, but utterly, brilliant, use that a lot, and disgusting is a good word. You don't have to speak English. When someone says it's disgusting, you know it's bad. German is hard. My German is not very good, but I wrote down nichts. I just like the sound of that. And einstürzende, which is nichts is nothing. Einstürzende is something falling down, and and I apologize for the pronunciation, selbstverständlich, which is also, yeah, you look it up. It's a cool sounding word. And that's it from Lee. Frank Strömberg from Wet Shaving and Stuff is asking, what made you use straight razor sorry, as your main tool for shaving? Well, I shaved with cartridges, and then I started straight razor shaving because I've sort of wanted to do that for quite some time. I never went via DEs or anything like that. And they're cool to shave with, so why not? Frank also, if you could have, this is hard, if you could have a bespoke shave soap and cologne made, what would that smell like? Any certain notes? It's hard, and it's, Frank, you know I'm not a fragrance person, and I have difficulties describing fragrance. I'm interested in it, but I know nothing. A soap, I've mentioned this before, seriously, because the soap scent goes away and you don't carry it around. I would like the soap smelling like my dog when he's reasonably clean. I just love the smell of that little bugger. But I wouldn't want a cologne in that scent, because I don't want to walk around smelling like a dog. I just want to smell the scent. So I don't know, something dry. Maybe dust, but not dirty dust. Fresh, I don't know. Sorry. Last from Frank, British or German goth music? I don't know any German goth music, but if sort of Bauhaus and The Cure and Susie and the Banshees and Sisters of Mercy, if that's goth, then I choose British. I mean, German music, I like industrial music, like Einstürzende Neubauten and Die tödliche Doris and, well, Kraftwerk. It's not industrial, but it's that sort of thing. That's what Germans are good at, in my opinion, music-wise. Justin, hey Justin, Red Island Shaver is asking, what made you want to exclusively use straight razors? Well, as I said before, I got started using them and I tried other things, and I just prefer straights and Chevettes lately as well. And it's from many years ago, romantic view of the sort of the coolness of the straight razor. That's really what got me started. Not to save money, not to be ecological, not to get a better shave. It's just cool. And now I do it for a few reasons, including the fact that it's cool. And I like to tell people I use a straight razor, and I'm disappointed every time they're not impressed. Oh, that's really cool. Wow, how dare you? And they ask questions. They don't, you know. 1 or 2 guys would, but generally people just think it's silly. Bastard. Grey Dog is asking, hey Grey Dog, Do you have any old wedding pictures that you can share? I do actually. I found one. The big ones are gone. My wife hid them. I don't know why. I have a teeny tiny one. Let's see if this... It's not going to focus. Probably not. So we do the YouTube thing and we... Now I can't see. Fuck. Okay, that's all you get. It's me to the right. Brian Moore is asking, if you could be a shaving artisan, which would you be? A soap maker, a brush maker, or a razor maker? That's interesting. I would be a razor maker, because how cool would that be to be able to make razors, like straight razors? Really cool. Stephen Mendel is asking, what's your favorite traditional Swedish food? It is, and this is what I typically answer when I get asked this, it is fried cod, boiled small potatoes, melted butter, and horseradish. Just fresh horseradish, what do you say, grated. Beautiful. Very Swedish, very good. It's a favorite. Stephen also wants to know what attracted me to the Marlins baseball team. Good job recognizing the hat I wore in the Q video. Well, it's the only team I've seen live in baseball. They happened to play when I was in Miami, and I knew nothing about baseball, and they were dead last for a few years. And I've seen them a few times live, and that's why. And they made the playoffs this year, and then were knocked out in miserable form. But you have to love your team no matter what. Tim Schall is asking, are you happy with your healthcare in Sweden? Yes, I am. Healthcare is free. Well, it's paid by taxes, but it actually works. It's not perfect. There are queues sometimes, and right now it's terrible because of the corona situation. So the backlog is big. It is not perfect, but it's good. It actually works. We pay a lot of taxes on loads of stuff, but you get something back. You can argue how fair the tax levels are and what should be free and not, etc. But the system sort of works. So at least for the healthcare, I like it. Thanks. It's a good question, Tim. Very political. Flashgrass is asking, what is life like in Sweden in general? The answer is good. I like it. I still live here. What do I do for work? I trade commodities, solid biomass, mainly wood pellets and chips that is sold to utilities who produce power and heat, and it replaces coal. And we sell it to retailers who sell it to consumers, where it replaces oil. So I'm saving the world, basically. Thanks for asking. What city do you live in? I live in Borås. So that's half an hour east of Gothenburg on the west coast. Voila, Dave Card is asking, what are your favorite 3 straight razors? The Wade & Butcher, full hollow with etchings on. The Wade & Butcher wedge, 7/8, original everything, horn scales, and the signature art razor, the big one with the little man on it. That's it. What would you recommend as a first straight razor? How long is a piece of rope? Well, a sharp one. Doesn't have to be new. It doesn't have to be bad or cheap either, but a sharp one, 5 or 6/8 probably. Either hollow ground or a half hollow. Doesn't have to be hollow ground. If you know what you're doing, you get a cracking shave out of a hollow, full hollow. But a half hollow is pretty good. as a starter. You can start with a wedge too, but the most important thing is not that it's pretty or big or the grind, but rather that it has a good edge. That's all you need, really. It's a boring answer, but it's true. Mac Shaves. Mac Shaves is new too. I haven't checked out Mac Shaves yet. He's got a YouTube channel. I will check you out. What is best, Swedish or Belgian chocolate? Belgian chocolate is much better. Gordon Christie. Hey, Gordon. Do you still renovate vintage straights? Which one are you most proud of? I don't very much nowadays because I don't prioritize this in my time schedule. I do polish them up. I got one in, a nice one, that I cleaned up properly yesterday. But in terms of renovation, I haven't done that in a while. Which one am I most proud of? That is the Shave&Butcher 7/8 near wedge barber's notch. That I'm proud of that. It's cool. Also, Gordon, which Razer means the most to you and why? I think I brought one down to show at some point. I think this one, actually. I'm holding this in my hand. Forgive me. Don't cut yourself. I think this one. This is made by Andreas Österhult. Anyway. It's the first he sold for money. It's the third or fourth that he made. It's just beautiful and massive and cool. And he spent way too much time on it, and he didn't charge me enough. But it's special, and I really like it a lot. And then, oh shit! Then something happened when the phone fell down on my keyboard. So there you go. Fuck. I wrote Sterling Campbell, but that could be a typo, and I do apologize. Question is, have you ever smoked reefer? I had to Google what that is, and the answer is that stuff is illegal in Sweden. Martin at YMMV Shaves, also YouTube channel, is asking, why don't one-legged ducks swim in circles? Why do or why don't? I typed the questions in. It feels like a typo. Well, I'm sure they don't, because they're not idiots. They can compensate with the other leg. Is that an answer? God, Martin. Also, Martin asks, if the PD gets worse, would you change to DE or would you go back to carts? So if my shaking gets really bad. Well, I would certainly try DEs first before I do carts, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And SEs. Francisco Cribari is asking, what do you do for a living? How about your wife? Well, I told you what I do for a living, and do I do my wife? Is that what you mean? It's none of your business. If you mean what my wife does for a living, she's a fashion designer, producer of men's clothing. If you want to know if she approves of my dress manners, not so much. She tries, she brings stuff home. When I'm at work, I look okay, but I'm not so much anymore. Where was I? Michael Brown, why do you call your channel Shave&Butcher? Well, I like Wade and Butcher straights, so it's a play on words, and it's shave because I'm shaving, and butcher because butchering yourself when you're shaving is maybe fun. I don't know, something like that. Shit. And I can't read your name because it's funny signs. I think I've asked what it is, and I think it's maybe your name in Japanese, but I can't remember what it is, and I could be wrong. Is asking, would you be able to shave with an axe? Yes, absolutely. I put little hints out there from time to time how cool it would be to if someone sent me an axe with an edge you could shave with. Would I do it? Yeah, I would love to do it. pay for the axe too. So I'm just waiting. I promise I'll do it if you send it to me. King JL25 wants to know which straight, new or new old stock, if it's vintage, would you choose for the rest of your life? I choose the one I just showed. I would. The RAÖ. King also wants to know, can you feel any difference between German and Swedish steel? I can't. I don't hone my razors. If I did, I might. So good honemeisters probably would, but I can't, I'm sorry. Trevor Damas, hey Trevor, wants to know, how often do you hone your straights? Do you do it yourself? So no, I don't do it myself. When I had one or two in the beginning, I kept track, and I could get 70 shaves out of a straight razor before I had to re-hone it. I know Drew from Knife to the Face, or Nice to the Face, whatever he's called nowadays, tested that, and he was well over 100 passes on a Shave&Butcher. So something like that. If you take good care of it and keep it keen, that's doable. Trevor also, what's my preferred blade size and grind? I don't have one. I don't like them too small, so probably 7/8. Grind varies. I like wedges, I like hollows, and I like the variation. And also Trevor wants to know, how do you store your straights? Well, in the video you can see the little box where I put them in. So I want to put them where they're dry, because even if they're not in the bathroom, moisture in the air will make them rust. So keep them dry, but make sure they're dry before you put them in a box. Otherwise you bring the moisture with you. So, Johnny 5, what's your favorite food and do you play video games? That's 2 questions. My favorite food is good sushi. Do I play video games? No. I did a bit before, but now I don't have the patience or the right hand for that matter. Sorry. Do you? Guess you do. Samuel has 3 questions, and they're good ones too. What's the biggest learning curve when learning to straight or Chevette shave? That is a good question. I think it's very individual. For me, it was pressure. It took me a long time to understand how little pressure I should keep. So, and I know that's true for quite a few people. Also, what are the most common errors you see people do when shaving? Pressure, too much pressure, and angle, too wide an angle. To keep the angle, start with keep it as small as possible. Keep the spine as close to your face as you can, and then sometimes it's wide because it needs to be and it can be, but that's something I see people do. Simon also, finally, what would you like to see from the industry in the next 10 years? Wow, that is a clever question, and it's a hard one to answer. I'd like to see more Artisan straight razors. I would, but I'm not sure I would buy too many because they're so expensive, and they should be. Jesus, they should be. It's so much work. It's a piece of art. Sorry, I'm getting tired in my hands, sorry for shaking. But I'd like to see that. More makers in general, but certainly that. IMCDB has 4 questions. First one is, why is CDB the most devilishly handsome gent in the hobby? I like to keep things clean, so I'm not gonna... Well, my comment to that is he's got a nice haircut. Which is your favorite Chevette type razor to use? It's the WEC, for sure. Do you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain? Yes, I do. And whenever I hear that song, I think about that sequence in Grown Ups. You guys know what I mean. It's a good piece of movie for 30 seconds, isn't it? What is your favorite grind of straight razors? Again, I don't have one. I like a lot, and I like the variation. from a performance point of view, a good full hollow performs better. I get a closer shave more easily. But from a coolness point of view, an old vintage Sheffield straight is as cool as it gets. Last question, thank God, but we're under 30 minutes, that's good. It's from JR. Where would you live if not in Sweden? And then JR puts in quite a bit of marketing for Pennsylvania, where he lives. Pennsylvania is interesting today on the 4th of November. I thought about it, and my answer is from December through May, so 6 months, I would live in Miami, Florida, and June to November, I would live in Quebec, the city. It's lovely. That's it. I thought that was fun. I get to talk about myself for 30 minutes. It's unusual. Thank you so much for asking questions. You made an effort, at least some of you. I really appreciate that. I want to keep it below 30 minutes. So with that, I'll say sayonara and stay sharp.